First, I want, as coming from Novi Sad, I want to greet and salute all the attendees and participants of the conference, particularly Mr. Kojic, who invited me to come here. I want to congratulate the government of Montenegro, particularly for making a historic leap in this region, the first leap of this kind towards providing setting in which LGBT rights will be fully exercised. As Mr. Douglas said, this is the first step, but this is a big step forward. I come from the basic ranks. We heard from a lot of renowned experts from the world, from Europe. I come from a small court, basic court, but from the grassroots, so to say, that in doing my everyday job, I have to make possible the human rights and the exercise of human rights for everyone. The courts and the prosecutorial office have to do that in their everyday lives. We need to implement everything that our high officials sign, accede to and accept, and we need to enforce it to make it possible. All my life I saw equality as I took it for granted, and I thought that we should not explain things. We need though to understand that there are disagreements, misunderstandings. That's the part of nature, that we are all diverse, different. But when I had the opportunity to take part in the conference in Belgrade, I was urged to send a note to Professor Kojic, because that made me understand that people are brave when they speak up, when they speak their minds. We are tolerant, we pretend to be tolerant, but actually we are putting things under carpet, so to say, very often. That is what women sometimes do. I believe this is the problem in our societies. That is what impedes the exercise of the rights, human rights of all, be it that they are LGBT people or else. I became converted in a way because I was delighted in the aftermath of the conference. I was particularly impressed with Mr. Kojic and Judge Kirby, who invited us to a meeting, impressed me greatly, and then Judge from Poland, Mr. Miroslav, I can hardly pronounce his name. It's difficult to pronounce, but I want to give him credit, huge credit. They spoke to us so nicely, and they spoke openly to us. They warmed our hearts, and they opened their souls so that we could understand better, have better grasp of the problems that we need to protect in practice. Personally, I fully understand the LGBT population's problems because I lived a life of hardships and difficulties, something that they go through. I was a victim to family violence. I know what humiliation is, what rage is, how frustrated you feel when you can't do anything, when you have to put up with things, when institutions close their doors to you, when prosecutor tells you that they want to drop the case and you can't do anything. I've been through war, through being a refugee. I was left penniless. And thank you, Mr. Douglas, when you told me that I've been judge for 10 years. I've been judge for 30 years. I'm a bit old, I have to say. And my life, in my life I saw hard times, ups and downs, but I still remain a judge. But and the only thing that makes my heart big is the fact that I was fortunate enough to work with fantastic and good judges, that I worked with them, and I'm proud of them. After I came from Belgrade conference, when I told them about what I've seen and heard there, were very delighted. And I understood that judiciary can become good, can become better. I was surprised with what some senior judges that they accepted readily what we concluded at the conference. But I was abhorred and overwhelmed with how some of the top echelons of our societies reacted, some academics, some prominent journalists, some judges, misdemeanor judges who did not accept my reactions, my delighted words and reactions. But luckily, my judges, they reacted very well, and I believe we are on the right track, having in mind that we continue to work tomorrow, that we will work with our colleague judges tomorrow. We believe that this conference will be as fruitful as the one in Belgrade. I believe that someone will pick up my argument, and that is that we hear all the time that these laws were adopted, the conventions acceded to, etc., etc. So many things that are new to us, but then we need to implement and enforce them. We have so many novelties, so many new things, and that some of them make me worried. And I talked to some of the participants to the conference that nowhere in our codes we don't have the interpretation of what hate speech means. I'm a criminal judge, and I speak as a criminal judge. I fear we don't understand hate speech. We haven't defined it well in our criminal code, and we tend to interpret the law and to interpret this institute in conjunction with some other ones, but I believe that in future we'll come to understand it better. I have a case of one Roma man who is in the same position as LGBT persons, who was harassed verbally by one person who said, "You are dirty Roma, all Roma are thieves." He said that Hitler was right, Adolf Hitler was right, that Roma should wear those yellow tags, and this is something that one can prosecute only after a private action. But we believe that this needs to be changed, and insults and offenses will be abolished from the criminal codes. You can only pick up a private case or action against such a person. We know that that will expose many people to harassment, and we will fail to legally protect the person. I believe that Europe has not yet understood our position. We are still in the Balkans, and we have very many concerns. We have very many things that can be prosecuted only after a private action. So we still have limitations in this regard. We need to have a legal instrument to punish those persons. I believe this is not a solution to the problem, but at least this will be one kind of protection. As a judge, I have to think as to how to advise a person how to protect himself against such a harassment, and not to let him go home without even trying to help a person. Another thing is that we are lagging behind, at least speaking for Serbia. I don't know about Montenegro, but I believe we are somewhere close to each other. In this regard, appellate courts and superior courts do not know how to implement conventions, and when it comes to right to privacy, they don't know how to interpret them in the context of criminal codes. So I would like to urge and appeal to legislators. I believe there are some from Montenegro, at least, that they should focus on conventions and their implementations and alignment with our laws and legislation. Without that, I don't think we can make any efficient action. I don't want to bother you any longer. I have many cases that I've heard and sat on, and I believe that this conference will echo strongly and that it will push that limit forward, and that it will promote LGBT populations' rights further. Thank you.